So I came here to talk about a common statement, something I've heard commonly said amongst women, amongst men. I find it a bit infuriating, but we'll leave that for now. Let's just even explore the statement. And I'll tell you later in the video why I think it's very important that we discuss this statement. The statement is, women are their own worst enemies, or women are women's worst enemies. Is it true? Where does the statement come from? What are the implications of this statement? Let's explore a little. And we'll start by talking about the meaning of that statement and what it implies. First of all, it implies that women typically don't like other women and will not ordinarily support them. Secondly, it implies that the average woman will push back or fight against other women around her just because they are women. So, what's the underlying mindset that drives this statement? Where does it come from? First of all, it comes from a mindset that women are obliged to support women around them just because they are the same gender, whether they like it or not. So when I see a woman around me, I should support her because she's my gender. Whether I agree or I really like it or not, my first and primary aim should be to support her. Another mindset that underlies this kind of statement is that as a woman, I should avoid making negative statements or expressing misgivings about other women because they are my gender. So if it's a man, I can express my misgivings or my negative vibes about it. Let's take for granted it's in a kind way I express it. But once it's a fellow woman, I should not. I should just support her because she's a woman like me. I should avoid expressing these misgivings because I don't want to be labeled as a woman that doesn't support other women. So what is the truth? The truth is that people are not obliged to support anybody just because they are of the same gender. I've seen men push back against men. I've seen men express misgivings. I've seen men engage in politics in the workplace and all sorts of things. And nobody ever says men are men's own worst enemies. But once it's a woman, I'm expected to go above and beyond to support her, not as a human being, but because she's a fellow woman. And the minute I don't do that, then it means that women are women's worst enemies. There are people all over the place that will not support others, whether male or female. There are women that don't support women. There are women that don't support men. There are men that don't support women. There are men that don't support men. Why don't we hear men are men's own worst enemies? Men are women's worst enemies. But we hear women are women's own worst enemies. I'll explain why this is important in a moment. Another truth is that sometimes the reason for a lack of support for a particular person may have nothing to do with their gender. Many times, in fact, it has nothing to do with their gender. There may be various explanations, but it may have nothing at all to do with their gender. I don't want to go into the reasons because it depends really on a particular case, but there could be a myriad of reasons. It doesn't necessarily have to do with their gender. So let's not turn it into a gender thing. So let me advance some reasons why as a woman you may feel more disappointment from other women. Number one, women typically interact with more women than men. When you're in a place, you're more likely to interact with the women in that space. In your kids' schools, in the office, in church, generally, you're interacting with more women than men. So on a percentage basis, if you're interacting with 100 people, say you're interacting with 70 women and 30 men. At the end of the day, if you get disappointed by 30 women, it's going to look like, the number of women who are disappointing me is higher. But in percentage-wise, it's just about 50%. And you say, oh yeah, only 10 of the men were disappointing. If you compare it number for number, it looks like a lot. But in reality, you are relating with more women than men. Check your interactions. That's what you're going to find. You typically, as a woman, relate with more women than men. So that's one reason. The next point is that as a woman, you're likely to feel a deeper sense of connection with women. It's like, we're together, we're in it together, we're together. And so you are more likely to feel disappointed by them because you expect more from them. Naturally, you expect that this person should understand me better because she's a woman like me. But her perspective may be different for various reasons. And so you can't just expect that because she's a woman, you connect with her gender, you connect with her on a gender level. She's going to see things the way you do. That sense of higher expectation is going to lead to a deeper sense of disappointment if anything goes wrong in your interaction with that woman. Now, the third point is that women are more in touch with certain emotions. I don't want to say women are more emotional. I just feel like women express certain types of emotions more than men. The connecting emotions like friendship and all that. And we tend to connect on a deeper level than men. So you find out that it takes more time for a woman to connect fully with another woman because she's kind of appraising, I won't say judging, but she's appraising it. Is this somebody I want to connect with? And taking her time before she makes final decision. Because if you connect quickly and you find out that this is not somebody I want to have anything to do with as such, or I want to connect with on a deeper level, it's going to be harder to extricate yourself because you understand how women connect. And so it takes more time. But if you are already putting a lot in, you're already expecting that she will also give the same vibe. But most times, women are a bit more appraisive. That's a word I just made up. Women are a bit more appraisive, or they appraise things more before they finally connect. So you could see women sitting in a place, they're not just going to jump up and start talking to each other. They're sizing one another up and saying, let me look at this person. Is this somebody I really want to connect with? They take their time. And when they form the connections are usually deeper. Men, on the other hand, are a lot more surface level. You know that men have more of logical brains, so they have functional brains. So men can sit together and see each other every day in the same space, and they don't even know anything about one another. And they really talk, but they don't know anything about one another because their connections are a bit more surface level. They're not as deep as the connections that women form with one another. They don't appraise one another on such a deep level. So it can feel like this woman is pushing back on me when actually she's still in an appraisive mood. Now, the last point I want to advance is that you tend to get what you expect. And so if you expect that women are women's worst enemies, then that's what you're going to get, because that's what you see. We see life not as it is, not necessarily as it is, but as we think. And so if you think about women as being women's worst enemies, that's how you're going to judge every woman. Anything that she does, you're going to see it in that light that they've always said it. I've always said it. Women are women's own worst enemies. So that's the way it's going. That's what, and you'll find out that it will be true for you. See, I used to be somebody who was very apprehensive of people. I was scared of people. This thing that they say that they said, you said, when women gist, they'll say, oh, you're the one that said, someone said. I can't stand it. And I was so scared of it that, I just stayed away from people. I was one of those girls that I prefer to have guy friends. They're easier to connect with, and, I just relate with them. But the truth is, on deeper appraisal later over the years, I realized that it's because I didn't want that deep bond. I don't want anything. I just wanted to avoid those conflicts that come up. And so somehow you've gone into that mindset of, just stay away from women. They can be a bit extra. And I did that for a long time until I got to a point in my life where I decided to be open to people, open to women, and form better relationships. Be vulnerable. There's nothing scary about it. And I started to open up, and I found beautiful women all around me. And I'm not saying beautiful in their looks, I'm saying beautiful hearted women who just want to help, women who are willing to be a community. They're everywhere. Everywhere I look, I find them. Women who support, women who will help you. I just found out that people are not as bad as I thought they were. They're everywhere. I've joined several women's communities. Yes, there are issues, but where are there not issues? See, I've seen men join old boys association and things like that. They have the same issues as well. So there are issues everywhere in every kind of group. Don't let us judge one another harshly, which brings me to the reason why I felt like it's very important to discuss this. See, we're already in a world where women are suffering enough. Already, we have a lot to deal with in society. The pushback by society, a lot of expectations, a lot of discrimination that women deal with already. It's bad enough. Why do we now want to hold on to this statement and fight one another? That statement is not going to help us to get the best of one another. People can be bad and people can be good. Men can be bad, men can be good, but nobody is pushing the narrative that men are men's worst enemies. I've seen horrible office politics amongst men. I've been a victim of very bad office politics by men. I've also had men support me, and I've had women support me. I've had women work against me. It's not about women in particular being women's worst enemies. It's just about human nature and the way people can be. Let's stop attributing it. Let's stop generalizing this thing and saying, oh, women are women's worst enemies. Don't join people in making that statement. I think it's very bad. It's in very poor taste. It's just going to add to the problems that women already have. Don't let them sell you that narrative. There are lovely and beautiful and kind and supportive women all around you. In your church, you will find them. Don't go into women's groups apprehensive already and thinking, women, they are so extra. They come with a lot of, but don't go like that. Even you come with your own baggage. Everybody has their own baggage. I've decided personally that I'm going to be kinder to women. See, let me tell you how far I've gone. I had a help once. She had a baby. She was a day help. She'll come in the morning, do her work and go. And she came and she had a baby. And I'm thinking, who comes to work with the baby? How are you going to be able to do work? I have like young children, 7, 5. I need to wash. I need to open the gate when we come. I need you to do a lot of housework. How are you going to cope with the baby? But I looked at it again and I thought, this woman really needs this job. She's in debt. She was just going through a lot. She really needs this job. I'm going to put my money where my mouth is. And I'm going to hire her. Things didn't turn out so well in the end because it backfired on me. She came up with a lot. But I'm happy I took that chance on another woman. Now, I'm not going to see a woman who can't take that chance and say, oh, women are women's worst enemies. They should have hired her. It's not easy. It wasn't an easy decision. And it backfired on me in the end anyway. Doesn't mean I won't help somebody I need tomorrow. But I've learned to deal with people with a lot of discretion. If you now see a woman who decides, oh, you know what? I can't hire a pregnant woman, or I can't hire a woman that has a baby. I need somebody. It will be like, oh, women are women's worst enemies. No, women are not women's worst enemies. You have to be pragmatic sometimes, and it depends on each person's needs. So let's not make these general statements and let them sell us the idea that we don't like each other. Do you hate other women? I'm sure you will tell me you don't. So why do you assume that every other woman apart from you is bad? That statement is just adding to the problems that women already face. We already have a lot to deal with. Don't let's add to the problems that we are facing by believing that we are one another's worst enemies. You don't be an enemy to the woman next to you. And be open-minded in dealing with women. You will find lovely women all around. Plenty of women supporting women. Plenty of them. But understand, I'm not obliged. Nobody is obliged to help you because, oh yeah, we're the same gender. I'm not going to vote. I'm saying it. I won't vote for any politician just because she's a woman like me. I have to believe in what she's going to do when she gets to the office. If she can stand her own and make me realize what she's going to do when she gets to the office, I will vote for her, but not just because she's a woman. I'm not going to give a position to somebody just because she's a woman. You have to prove your mettle. You have to prove your mettle. And don't expect anybody to give you opportunities just because you're a woman. No. I will do what I need to do. If I'm not the best at the job, I shouldn't get the promotion just because I'm a woman. And I shouldn't give another woman a promotion just because she's a woman. No. I won't stand for that. I will do everything in my power to help a woman beside me. But I won't, just because she's a woman, just because we are the same gender, support her when she doesn't deserve the support. And you shouldn't expect it from other women too. So, from what I've seen, that statement isn't true. It's just another statement that we throw in the wheel to clog feminine relationships that could have been beautiful. But the minute we see any problem, we say, oh yeah, women are women's worst enemies. No, not necessary. There are good women, bad women, good men, bad men. People will stand against you because they are people. But don't expect anyone to support you just because you are the same gender. Do whatever you can to help women around you and be open-minded. I just thought to come in and share that today. I hope you learned something from it. Tell me in the comment section. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, to share this with somebody who will find it useful, and to like this video so that it can get shown to more people. Also, there's a link in the description box where you can join the Valiant Women's Network. It's a community of vibrant women where we share all sorts of things that will help us. We are a community that supports one another. We are not our own worst enemies. We support one another. We teach one another. We do things that can help women thrive. If you're looking for a community where you can thrive as a woman, join the Valiant Women's Community. Link in the description below. Till I come your way next time. Ciao.